This video is dedicated to success whenever it decides to show up. Hello. My name is Duyarsa, but you can call me just Wall or Ray. Probably if you clicked on this video, you are an artist. Perhaps a beginner or maybe even more or less skillful, but both of them always want to improve something in their work. And both of them always have one common problem: references. There are three main views on references. These are also three phases and three, in some way, worldviews, and perhaps three versions of the future as an option. Some say that references are pure evil, and if you are a true artist, In general, I have my own attitude to it. These guys, let's call them reference deniers. They believe in a myth about the pure originality. All the time they say, draw from your own head. If you use references, it means that you can't draw and you are stealing art or kinda... They want to be original, not to copy others. Sounds nice? Yeah. Does it work?
No.
The second group says that references are okay, but you gotta be careful. The main thing is not to copy it one-to-one. Kinda take a few different sources and mix them. It's pretty pragmatic and is already closer to reality because at least you can understand where they're coming from. And as you can tell, I believe any opinion is valid as long as there is some logic behind it. These pragmatists mostly worry that fully copying a reference is a copyright infringement, or something like that. Anyway, these guys are on their way to the next stage of this creative metamorphosis. And here is the third, final, kill shot phase. The realization that nothing is completely original. As the result, we've got three phases. They can exist separately or one after the other. There is no need to get through all three. You can skip straight to whichever fits you best. And this video can be interesting for all three types. Take a comfortable position. Take sweets. Here's the most ordinary Duyarsa with you. This video will be long but exciting. I used Austin Clown's Still Like an Artist as the basis of this script. A lot of you probably have heard about it or even read it. Just to be clear, this video is not a review of it, but I can do one if you are interested. Today we are going to figure it out, where the inspiration ends and plagiarism begins, and why what you might consider stealing is actually key to growth. And here is a spoiler to you. Everything is definitely not that damn simple as you might think. And just to keep it short, let's return to the topic of three groups. Which one of them do you consider yourself to be at this stage of your life? I ask it that fancy way, not just for fun. I want to point out that these three labels can exist as independent worldviews or as stages that follow one another. And do you know what's the most fun here? Our art is a reflection of ourselves. I don't want to be a buzzkill, so in short, you can tell that your attitude towards references is somehow similar to your own self-esteem, and yet it's kinda not a rule. As I noted, reference deniers usually are strict with themselves, and often are so even towards people around. They demand from themselves what they simply can't do. Even in an art school. In the first place, after a couple of exercises on shading and tutorials on how to hold a pencil confidently, they show you the composition and say, draw. Yeah, in an art school, teachers often forbid you to draw from the picture, but it's just because you're learning how to see bones in real life. So, what is the actual difference? It's also a reference in a way. And what are you going to say? That you must draw from your own fucking head only? Maybe I should even draw something non-existent for your sanity's safety? And what about the last two groups? I think a lot of you will agree that originality is something non-existent now. And in general, if you'll ask an artist a question, where do you take all your ideas from? The honest one will answer, I just steal them. And you can't actually call it a plagiarism. And that's why. An artist, as a real collector, takes in everything around them and decides what is worthy or unworthy of their attention or inspiration. Looking at the world this way, you just stop guessing what is good or what is bad. Now it exists only worthy and unworthy of your attention. Writer Jonathan Lethem was convinced that if people call something original, in 10 out of 10 cases they simply haven't traced the source of its borrowing. And, by the way, Lethem isn't some random theorist. He even wrote an essay literally defending the idea of creative theft. He argues that art is always built on quotes, remixes, and reworking other people's ideas. Some just admit it, while others act as if they were born a genius with no actual past behind. But even if I quote different smart guys, just in case, I want to make a remark. Do a damn fact checking. Follow the links, delve deeper than others, and only then you will get to the truth yourself. And, most importantly, form your own personal and independent opinion. Still, like an artist, in general, often compares original ideas with genealogy and kinetics. There is even an example, a task for young artists. Draw two lines, one next to each other. How many lines are there in the picture? And there are 3 now. Between 2 appears another one. It's a metaphor. 1 plus 1 equals 3 in that case. And even so, precious you are a mix of your mom, dad, and all relatives so far. Nothing is truly original. Nature itself shows us that. Individuality is built from already existing traits. And as the nature creates so freaking cool and pretty us, as we create art by clearly stealing ideas from others and mixing them along the way. Mark Twain said that it's better to pick someone else's thing up than let it stay useless. And in general, we are studying by copying. Kids watch the adults and try to stand up on there too and make a sound to say a word. We are learning to write by copying the alphabet. Musicians are learning by playing symphonies. And artists are also starting with references. And even if you make a picture the same as the reference, but one says 100% your original idea and even show the reference up, so what's the problem? A human hand can't make a perfect one-to-one copy. Even if we will talk about copyists, it won't be the same. Replica painter's job is to copy, but for most ordinary artists, drawing with reference is just about inspiration, observation, or practice, and not for copying and imitating the original. So, what is the problem again? Let's assume we agreed. But here is a new question. Observation comes with experience, and what does experience come with? With practice. We have already figured out where the line between references and plagiarism lies. Let's not even mention copying anymore. But how can you develop your observation skills and not turn from an inspired person into a thief? Still, not from one, but a bit from lots. It doesn't matter if you are an artist, a musician, or a writer. If you're inspired by only one source, you will be nothing more than a simple follower. But if you ideologically rob 100 people, you will already be called an original. For an artist, the most vibrant example of originality is their individual style. I won't talk too much because I will have nothing to talk about in the next video, but let's take a look at my works, for example. And let's talk a bit about their evolution. These my works are quite old, about 2018. Of course, you couldn't say anything about them so far, but at least it's a good example for beginners. I hadn't figured out the style yet and was just, let's say, getting the hang of it. It can last quite long before a small artist will get their own traits. The more practice and observation, the progress is faster. A bit later, I started drawing with a pencil textured pen. I would like to say that I stole it from someone, but nah, it has another funny story behind it. Maybe some will think it's cool, someone will be the opposite, but in that period of time, my tablet drivers were broken for some reason and I had no press on it. So I just found the pencil which looked fine without it. I liked it so far that it is still my style trait, but some traits I shamelessly stole, and I can't even say who I stole them from. But all later. Here are my works now. Who do you think was my inspiration? Write in the comments. Anyway, to steal is way too harsh a word. We usually just get inspired and adapt what we like because, as you already understood, we don't aim to steal. At some point, you switch from copying to imitation, and this is the next step toward creativity. We do art because we like art, and we draw the way we do because we admire someone who draws similarly. We're inspired by others. We try to imitate them, and the broader our vision becomes, the more original is our style. In a way, it's exactly the failed attempt to become our ideal that makes us truly unique. But don't reject your ability to research, vice versa. Even in the fucking art school, again, but they'll sit you down in front of the visual composition and start teaching you how to think. You already can hold a pencil, lol. They will show how it works and then so it goes. It's every kitten for itself. In Russian, there is actually one phrase I love to use. Кошка бросила котят, пусть ебутся как хотят. Which kinda means something like the cat dropped the kittens, let them fumble as they will, but with swearing. You are literally learning to look at this composition right. And eventually, with experience, you begin to understand where and why things are drawn the way they are drawn. Imitation is worthless by itself, but what is actually precious is a result of a mix of imitation and an analysis. Transformation of your horizons, personal warmth, and skills into something new, which is yet only your personal trait. I even make my own interactive, aka a challenge. Show the reference and the final work. Here are my examples. The whole idea is to show that using references doesn't take away your originality and isn't just copying. And here are guys who did this challenge with me. Big thank you. And you can find the original pic and join this challenge in my Telegram channel. There are both Russian and English versions of it. And in general, I have lots of socials. You can support and follow me for free.
Nice.
And even share a donation on my Monobank jar if you're from Ukraine or on PayPal.
Ну, а що ви хотіли? Наглість, друга радість.
And at the end of this video, I can say one thing. References aren't evil. Don't be afraid to use them. They, don't bite, as I know. And again, even if I put the books still like an artist in the basis of the script, I still want to remind you that it's not a review. But I actually liked it anyway. It's pretty chill and light. It has a vibe of a small talk with a teacher you really admire. Austin Kleon has 2 more books as well. Keep going and show your work. Honestly, I'd make a separate review for all 3 books, not limiting myself just to references and inspiration, because they're actually full of cool tips and I'll have plenty to talk about it. Anyways, I'm waiting till you'll follow all my socials. Still waiting. Here you go. Big thanks. And just want to mention that I'm used to doing a blog in Russian for about a year already, but always wanted to switch to English too. And here I am. Thank you for supporting my dream beginnings. Please, if you are my Russian-speaking follower, leave an English comment. It will show YouTube who this content is for. You can still call me Diorsa. as well as Wool or Ray. I'm the most ordinary one, but you are my extraordinary ones. Thanks for watching. See you soon. In the next video, I will try something that will definitely ruin my comfort zone for a bit. Let's say soon enough you'll see what is an extreme inspiration. Don't try this at home. Or try this if you enjoy suffering and moral groans. So, if you enjoy watching artists suffer, don't switch away for too long.